Hi everyone. We are the team Indox and we are in research track challenge 7. So Gabriel, what is our challenge question?
Sure, Guang. The question is, how can digital identity introduce benefits and risks for consumers of financial products and services in Quebec and in Canada?
So Gabriel, help me to understand better of this question. What is the digital identity?
Sure. Digital identity is information used by a computer system to ensure the uniqueness of an entity. It can be a human, a corporation, a machine, or even a government. Traditionally, we have been looking at plastic driving license or paper passport, but later we have seen username and passwords, and that's an example of a digital identity.
Yes, my wallet is still full of cards and my phone storing the username, password, security questions. So who should be issuing this identity?
Well, we have multiple identities. The first one, the obvious one, it's governments, different level of governments. In Canada, we have the federal government, social insurance number, passport. We have the provincial government, Quebec, for driving license, Medicare card. We can have the municipal government issuing an identity for a house, for example. They are responsible of keeping track of all properties. We can look at the international level, United Nations, they issue passports for diplomats, or corporations in the context of Internet of Things, they issue serial numbers to identify their own objects, the objects that they build.
Yes, those are organizations right now in Montreal. So I want to ask you about digital authentication. It's a process of matching the digital identity to ourselves. How should the digital identity be used?
Sure, in the future, I think we're gonna see much more of identity validation on mobile phones.
Yes.
We're gonna see the QR tags used much more. In the context of Internet of Things, we're gonna see the linkage of a person's identity with a corporation identity, an object or a service identity. Also, if you're looking at virtual reality, augmented reality, we can look at transactions that are happening in a virtual space rather than in our reality. Artificial intelligence, the objects can do payments on their own. Imagine a fridge, if there's no more milk, a fridge can pass the order and make a payment without human intervention. And also the speed and the size of internet going through the pipeline. Every 10 years, we change. Right now we're talking about 5G, but soon we might be talking about 6G, 7G.
Yeah, every 10 years, that means improvement of the 1G. And soon we probably have our trolleys that sending and receiving payments and also information. So why would we need this digital identity?
Well, we need to prove that a person has the authorization of accessing information, and that's a short definition. When we say a person, we refer actually to multiple entities. It can be a company, but behind the company, there's always a person. There can be a government, but behind a government, there's also a person, or it can be an object. And here, when I'm saying accessing information, it can be accessing, manipulating, changing, editing, but we summarized it in accessing the information.
Yeah, so what are some benefits that if we use digital identity?
Sure, there are always benefits and risks, and this is the most important part of our research. We summarized it in keywords. The most important benefit is efficiency in the process of certifying information. So it translates by cost reduction in identity validation. A particular example for Quebec, is the reduction of multiple IDs issued by the same government, Quebec government, for the same person. Take a look at the pictures. Quebec is issuing driving license, Medicare card, and once you go to a hospital that belongs to the government, every hospital, you have to make a new plastic card. So you have your wallet full of plastic cards issued by the same government, for the same person, for different purposes. So I believe this would be improved in the future with digital identity. Other benefits are traceability, historical records, convenience, no more need to physical presence, security, blockchain digital identity, automation, integrate robots in human workforce, in human resources teams. On the other side, yes, the risk.
So So as we are entering this paperless era, I am both excited but also kind of worried. What are some risks associated with the digital identity?
Sure, very important to be aware of them. The most important one is confidentiality. Many citizens are worried that the government would know everything about them. Also liability, and this is more on the legal side. We have to look at systemic failures, pandemic that we're living today, electricity failure, natural disaster, including meteorological disaster, civil unrest, war, civil war. Also, we're looking at cyber attacks, where they're for fraud, hacking, intention to harm computer systems. Um, Another risk is the difficulty to reestablish an identity once it's compromised. And with computer systems, we always have to think about maintenance, update, new releases, bugs. And on the human resources side, we have to think about training and surveillance of human resources.
Yeah, for sure. We need really to be careful about the regulations,
Mhm.
and we need the digital identity to apply it on the robots too, just in case they outsmart us in the future. So,
Sure.
Gabriel, what are some peculiarities, concerns about implementing the digital identity in Quebec and Canada?
This is a complex topic, but we summarize it here with real-time accounting and real-time tax declaration. Think about it. Look at this picture. Whenever you're receiving a paper receipt, even if you buy a coffee, what do you do with a paper receipt? Most of the time you throw it away, like people did here. But think about receiving information on your mobile phone, not on paper, but digital information. Also, look at the invoice. You have TPS TVQ, the Canadian and Quebec tax. So receiving digital information on your mobile would allow real-time accounting, real-time calculation, real-time tax declaration. No more need to wait for the end of the year, go see your accountant with a pile of paper and wait for another month for a tax declaration. I think in the future, this could be done in almost real time.
Yeah, for sure. And also as a citizen, I think it would be really beneficial for our multilingual society in Canada, and we can do the real-time political vote.
Mhm.
So Gabriel, can you summarize for me the benefits and the risk in different points of view?
Yes, we focused on the consumers, but we need to be aware that there are other entities, governments, international corporations, or objects in the context of Internet of Things. In terms of benefits, we're always looking at efficiency, streamlining operations, reducing costs, reducing time. On the side of risk, we're always looking at ethics, data leaks, and security. One particular item here on the international side, in terms of benefits, we know that Quebec and Canada, they're not the first in the world, the most advanced in terms of digital identity, but we can look at it as an advantage. We don't have to reinvent the wheel, but we can look at more advanced countries and inspire from them, some such as Estonia or Singapore. In terms of risks, it's important to know that rogue governments or organizations may attempt to steal large amounts of citizens' information, and that's an important risk. On the Internet of Things, we have to look at legal liability. Who's responsible in case a machine takes a wrong decision?
Yeah, for sure. We can learn from other established systems, such as in China, the WeChat mobile phone system to manage the digital identity. So thank you everyone for listening to our talk. You can find us on the LinkedIn.
But Guang, what's the conclusion of our research?
Yeah, for sure. From discuss with you and also validation from our experts. We can conclude that the digital identity is inevitable with advanced technology and faster in this faster pace. And the question is how our society can prepare, understand, and manage the risk while benefiting from its advantages.
Sure. We welcome your questions now or after Formathon. Scan the QR tag, visit our website here, indox.me, or send us an email. It would be a pleasure to chat with you more. Thank you for
Thank
listening
you.
to us. We
Yeah,
welcome the
thank
questions.
you.